Hi there guys, it's Joel here from Aussie Chart Trends. Today's market update is for Wednesday the 24th of October 2012. Today we're going to be checking out the smp500 firstly and then the asx200. But before we do that, I've just got to remind everyone that aussiecharttrends.com.au and this video are for educational purposes only. Nothing stated at the site or in this video is intended to be used as any form of investment advice. I'm not a licensed professional. You need to make your own decisions regarding your investments. I'm just here to help anyone searching for a practical direction in today's markets. So firstly, looking on the hourly chart of the S&P 500 here, in yesterday's video I was talking about this market potentially coming up for one last back test before turning back down. Now in last night's trade we didn't get that. We went straight down on opening and then the markets broke our level here of support. Now this yellow line, it broke in last night's trade and this has signaled a triple top formation. So what can we expect from the S&P 500 now? Well, that's a good question because now that we have broken this area, it looked as if that we were creating a little bear flag pattern at the end of the trading day. So we had our swift move down and we could potentially rally on up to backtest this broken trend line. And that's what the tech book does say, that we should have a backtest on this area before heading down. But guys, in yesterday's video, I was discussing that we should have had a backtest on this area. Now, technically speaking, we should have had a backtest, but we never got that backtest. However, the S&P 500 is now signaling a measured move. If we measure the depth of this pattern, we now know where the market broke down last night, and we can see that the measured move to this triple top formation is now signaling a move down to around the 1382 area. So that is breaking through both areas of support. So it is likely that we'll come down and break through these two areas. But there's also one other thing that I'd like to put out on the table. With this measurement in mind, that means that we may not be looking at a head and shoulders topping formation. But never say never, because if the S&P 500 comes down to this level and gets caught on this support level, which I'm expecting that we should have some support here, we may be looking at a nice bounce off this line. But if this line breaks and this area breaks here around the 1388 area, well, this pattern is pointing towards the 1382 area. So the truth is, we don't really know where the markets will get an area of support, but what we do know is that this pattern is pointing to around the 1382 area, and there's not much support underneath this area until the 1330 area. So for now, let's just keep our eye on this potential little trend line here. I'll just draw it over these three peaks here, and if we get over this area in tomorrow's trade, and we do get over this little neckline here, well, we may see some very short-term strength back to test this overhead line here. But for the bearish point of view, let's just keep our eye on this little bottom line here, because if this breaks in tomorrow's trade, well, we could expect then a move down to the low 1400 area. So let's just see what the S&P 500 does in the short term. The other potential thing that we could be looking at is a move down to that early 1400 area with a nice bounce, and we could be still looking at a head and shoulders top where our triple top formation would eventually meet its target and our head and shoulders top would meet its target also. So that's something to keep in mind, that both patterns may both get their targets achieved in the long run. Let's now take a look at the asx200 and see what happened in today's trade. In yesterday's video I was discussing that if the S&P 500 was to rally on up to that 1450, 1460 area, well, that we would have plenty of room here to move around. But as you can see in last night's trade, the S&P 500 broke down of that triple top formation, and the asx200 today got that measured move down. Now in yesterday's video I was also discussing that we'd never got a back test on this descending wedge channel. Well, today we got that back test exactly. We also found an area of support on this blue ascending line here around that 4,510 area. So this is holding the markets up for now, and we had a really nice bounce here today. So for now guys, this blue line around that 4,510 area should hold up as support, but if we break, well, we just need to look at our next area there of support, and that would be on this red line here and the 4,492 area. But in order for the asx200 to head on back up, we really need to get over this area here. As you can see, we've had 3 clear touches, and we would need to rally on up and break over this area again for the markets to head back on up. So that's just something to keep in mind. So if we do see that move down in the S&P 500, just keep your eye on this red support area around that 4,495 area. If we break that, well, we do still have 2 areas of support left on the chart, and that should hold the markets up in the short term. Now, the asx200 doesn't really form too many head and shoulders topping formations, but this yellow line that I've got drawn here, let's see if we get a tag on it, because we could be looking at a left shoulder over here, a head, and then maybe a right shoulder in the process. That's all a potential for now. So guys, that pretty much wraps up today's update. If you're not a subscriber to the channel, all I ask is that you do subscribe, and I'd like to say thanks very much for your emails and your support. I'll be back tomorrow with another free daily market update.